Hello ladies, this is my first attempt at a video tutorial, so please bear with me as I am not good at this, and if some things are upside down I apologize, but I'm going to try to do this the correct way. So this video tutorial is going to show you how to put your pages together. So this is your page for your April scrapbook. Now you'll notice it says title up here. That is because if you decide to change these to, say, baby pages or just plain spring without the Easter, you can leave off the eggs and you can add whatever title that you choose to add to that. So I did not include a title. This little white piece and these white photo pieces also are not included. You can change this up if you decide. You can add a 4x6 across the entire page, or add a longer photo here instead of doing the 3x3s, but this kind of shows you how I had originally laid it out. So that's page 1, and also you will be providing your own background paper. I chose a light purple just because that's a piece of paper that I had that was left over. It's a very old color, but I thought it went well. You could use a gray or black even if you wanted. In the tutorial, however, I will be using white paper. So you'll see the white paper down and then I'll kind of show you how things are laid out. This is page 2. And so this also is done on the same purple, but you will notice that you have a large purple square here. Some of you have the purple that's current in the catalog, which is Gorgeous Grape, I believe is the color. Some of you will have a darker purple, which is actually what I wanted to use, but it is no longer available and I only had so much paper. So some of you will have the lighter purple, some of you have the darker. Either one actually goes fine with the purple that's in the pattern paper. The pattern paper set is the coordinating set that goes with the punches. So if you got any of the Celebration punches, there is a little flower punch on the back side of the raindrops is an umbrella set. And so those will actually coordinate. And then I think there's some hearts on the back of one of these. I'm not sure which one. So I will get started and show you kind of how to assemble these pages. So for the first page, what you will find in your kit will be all of these little goodies right here. So I'll kind of go through what these goodies are and where they go on your pages. And there's a few things you'll need to know is when you get your kit, you will notice that your arrows are clipped. So when you get your arrows, they're going to be clipped with a pattern on top that will be, they're all going to be facing the same direction. So when you take this clip off, don't just throw them, because the arrows, for some reason, when I cut them with the silhouette, if you flip them over, there's the little umbrellas, they do not quite line up, so that when you put them down on your gray sheet of paper that you're going to have, if you have flipped some of them every which way, they don't quite line up. They'll still look fine. It won't matter a whole bunch, but they line up a whole lot nicer if you keep them in the same direction. So that's why they're clipped all facing the same direction. So I may even clip a little piece of paper that says top so that you know which way is the top and which way is the bottom on those. So then you will also have all kinds of little doodads here. But for the main part that's going to be kind of tricky, you've got these gray pieces of paper. You've got your little chickens down here. And you've got some little strips. All your stuff is pre-stamped for you, because obviously if you don't have these stamps at home, you'll need them stamped. So your Easter eggs are stamped, however they're not colored. So if you'd like to have your pages be a little bit more colorful or give them a pop, you're going to need to color your little strips of eggs. So on your first page here, which is your title page, what you'll need to do is take out your gray piece of paper and you'll start with your arrows. And you're going to tape these down, starting with whichever ones you want to start with. It doesn't really matter. I actually started with the stripey one because that was my favorite. So when I did this, and of course the stripey one is the same color as some of the other papers with the flowers. That's why the top is important to keep which side is which. And when I did this, I placed the point, and then I kind of tried to decide how close I wanted it to the top and bottom. It leaves about 1/8 of an inch or a little bit more. It's less than 1/4 of an inch. And I just put it down like so. So once you've got that down, then you're gonna do the next one. And like I said, the order doesn't make much difference. You're gonna have a couple of these that are actually gonna be extra on your page where you can decide to cut off parts for the ends. So, and I just kind of eyeballed it. I tried to make them about the same width apart. If you want to stack them, bump them up against each other, they don't quite line up piece for piece. So you can do that. Just know that you'll have some gaps in some of the different arrows that you'll have. So then you're just going to continue on and put those down on your page, leaving that same gap. Like I said, I just eyeballed it, kind of leaving the same amount of gap at the top and the bottom of the page so that it was pretty uniform across the way. Now, part of this is going to end up getting covered up anyway, so if you don't have it completely straight, it's probably not going to be noticed. So then, for your end piece, I'm not going to lay these all out for you, but for your end piece, what I actually did is I took this and I did the same thing. I popped my little deal on, and then I turned this over and I trimmed this piece off. So after you've trimmed this piece off from the back, you can use a paper cutter or just a pair of scissors. Doesn't make much difference. Try not to butcher it too much, because on the other end, you're going to end up using this little point at the other end. So also try to alternate your random pattern in here. These, you can try to go, you know, in order, but then your order is going to be out of sync when you get to the end and you have to put this end piece on. It's going to be funky. So you can put it on however you'd see fit, and you can actually cut another piece, because like I said, you'll have some extra. So once you get down with all of your arrows, I'm just going to put these off to the side. You're going to do that twice, because you're going to have an arrow piece on both pages. So you have 2 pieces of gray and enough arrows to do, I think there's like 13 on each. So you're actually going to have probably about 30 in your kit. So you'll have some extras to put on your ends. So once that's done, you're going to set those aside. Your page will actually start with this gray piece of ribbon, and you're going to actually glue that down on the far side of your paper. Now I just used a regular adhesive runner to glue that down, and then I actually used some of my green glue to glue my second piece of ribbon over the top of my first one. So I just blobbed that on there and ran that down. So once you've got that lined up all the way to the end of your paper and you've got it glued down, you're going to tape the ends under the other side. Then you're going to add your little egg border, and again, you can just use your tape runner to add that egg border. And then comes your arrow piece. Now you can do yours going up, going down, whatever way you decide. Once you've got that arrow piece on there, you're going to actually come in and use your purple piece. So this purple piece only has to sit up above the bottom of your page, just enough to put your chicks on. So you should have 3 chicks in your kit. You'll have one that's got his little beak open, and then you're going to have 2, oh, can't see him, 2 more with their beaks closed, and you're going to set them down at the bottom of the page. Now there is a stamp in this stamp set, which is the Easter stamp set from last year, that does feet. However, the feet are just little lines and you can easily draw those in with a marker. So you're just going to put those on. So you're going to take your two with their closed beaks and you're going to add some little feet on there. Now for your little chicken on the end, there is a broken egg that you're going to add. So there's your egg bottom that you're just going to glue over the top. And then if you have a white piece of paper, you may want to ink the edges of that so that that egg shows up. Now if you have another color, it's not going to matter because your white egg is going to show up on your colored paper. And then you're going to add this stamped sentiment. Again, if you're on white, you may want to ink the edges of this with a dauber so that that shows up properly on your paper. It gives it a little bit more oomph. Either that or use some dimensionals to bump that up off the table. Now, then you're going to add your smaller piece, which goes up top. This is a Coastal Cabana. And you can add photos in any way, shape, or form that you choose. Now, I originally had 2 4x6s on the bottom of here. However, if you've got lots of Easter pictures and you want to put 4 photos in this space, you could certainly do so. And then this one, I believe, was a 4.5x5 photo area. And again, if you wanted to change that up and add 2 smaller wallet-sized pictures on there, or actually add your journaling to this area, you could journal right over the top of that. So that is page 1. Okay, and so then we're going to move on to page 2. And the assembly for that is, again, this is what it looks like. So this is your page. And you've got a couple of elements here, like this one is going to be a layered element. You've got all the pieces for that, but you're going to have to put it together in a specific way. And then you've got some other elements on here that I'll talk about, which, like I said, if you're not doing Easter, you don't necessarily have to put those elements on. You may not want Easter eggs on there, or you may not want the bunny on there. You can throw him off. So your second page, again, you can put your arrows going either way that you want. This is going to go all the way down to the very bottom of your page. So you're going to put your arrows on there, and then you're going to work on your little design element. Now your design element has this scalloped edge. You're going to layer that with glue or whatever with this purple stitched piece. Once that purple stitch piece is on, you're going to actually want to use glue on your glitter cardstock, because the glittered cardstock doesn't like to stick with the tape very well because it's got that slick back to it. So use either dimensionals to pop that up, which will give you a raised look, or some glue. So I used green glue on mine again, so I just glued that on my purple piece. And then you have a stamped image that says Happy Spring. And again, I actually used dimensionals on this because the dimensionals seem to want to stick to the glittered face of this better than the actual tape runner. So use glue or dimensionals to add your stamped image on top of your glitter cardstock. And then you have this little cute purple flower, which you're gonna affix in the middle there, and you're just gonna glue that down. That should stick just fine to your stamped image. And then you also get a little, this is actually a perler bead that's been melted down. So you've got that little dot that goes right in the middle. So once you have that, you also are going to have in your kit some of these little hearts to add to your page with the arrows. These are going to go right over the top. And these little hearts are actually close to my hearts, but I love them and they looked really cute on here, and it needed a little something extra. So I'm added those. So you're just going to glue those down. You have a little arrow, and this isn't exact. You can put these wherever you want if you want to move them over or whatever. And then I have a little flower with a sparkly gem to it. And actually, I forgot to tell you on the first page, if you look, I've got these little flowers with the sparkly gems on it, and those are actually included in your kit as well. The sparkly gems are the new peacock or noble peacock rhinestones. So those are what I used in the middle of your flowers. Really pretty, so those are kind of handy. And so once you have your little pieces adhered to there, you're going to go ahead and add your stamped eggs again right above that piece of your arrow cardstock. So you're just going to layer that right up against it. And again, color your eggs if you'd like. And then you have this piece of designer series paper that we're going to place there. On my original, I had 2 3x4 photos on here, but again, if you had less photos or more photos, you can actually create a 4x6 in this area, or whatever you decide to do. In your kit, you also will find that you have 2 bunny rabbits. And the reason I gave you 2 is because on the original, I decided to cut out parts and pieces. My stomach is white and Cottontail is white. So you could actually create 2 rabbits, one white rabbit with a gray, or you can cut them apart, or you can color them, or whatever you decide to do. So your little bunny pieces, you've got a tail, a body, 2 little hands, which go on there like so. And then you've, of course, got the little head, and he's winking at you. And you can, like I said, color those any way you want. And I actually had him between the 2 3x4 photos. So once you get your little bunny assembled, you can color in the centers of his ears. I colored the centers of his ears with one of the alcohol ink markers. I used the Rocco Rose, and I also colored the little tips, insides of his feet pads, and his nose and his mouth. So those were just colored. And then I used a gray dauber, and I daubed around the edges of all of the pieces to give him more oomph. So then you also will have this green piece, which goes over here. Once you fix that, you can add 2 3x4 photos. And then you have some eggs. Now you actually have 5 eggs in here because you have 3 solid ones. And you have 2 covers. So your covers can go over the top of those 2 eggs if you'd like, or you can leave them and have 5 eggs and put the eggs somewhere else. So those eggs, once you glue them down, you're going to want to pop those up on a dimensional and make sure that you've left yourself enough room, because when you put those on, they will actually overlap your photos just a little bit. And so if they're up on a dimensional, your photo will slide right underneath that egg without disturbing your photo or having to cut it down to fit. And that is it. This was a pretty basic page, but there's lots of pieces. So hopefully that helped everybody get that put together. And I hope I did the video okay to where you could see and understand everything. Thanks, guys.